Georgia Peach. It's 333 as I start this live stream. I hope all is well. Let's get in here with infinity. Magnetize yourself.
Wanted. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. Right away, I am hearing the sound of birds. So, birds could be some kind of symbol for someone listening. I'm also hearing a general message about freedom. And for some reason, I'm seeing metaphorically a bird in a cage being set free. And I feel that this is going to relate to a divine feminine in some kind of personal way. There's something specific about your voice, like a bird singing, sort of that kind of comparison. So there may be a divine feminine I'm tapping into here who actively uses their voice to share something artistically online. Perhaps you share your voice through writing in some type of way. But regardless, I feel like there is a throat chakra activation that has empowered a divine feminine here over the course of possibly the last several months or years. And this has all culminated to a point of really setting yourself free from either self-imposed limitation or limitations that other people or society may have tried to artificially place on you. So, along with that, as I was about to prepare for this reading, two cards came out from the traditional tarot, the Sun card and the Emperor. Now, these two cards together speak very strongly to a very awakened, healed, masculine energy coming in very stable. I'm hearing stable in his heart. So this is someone who is very connected to their heart space, clear about how they are feeling, and moving steadily towards you. So I see that for some of you listening, Divine Feminines, this could be a masculine or divine masculine energy from your past who has been transforming. This also could be someone new who has recently entered your life, someone who is going to enter your life in the future. Do keep in mind that energy does not know time, space, or distance. So whatever I channel here may connect with something past, present, or future for you in your physical 3D life experience. And as I always say, it's really my goal through these readings to reconnect you with your own intuitive voice. So always only take what does connect with you in that intuitive place within yourself. I just have to tell you that I also keep getting the term twin flame, and that is really represented by the Sun and the Emperor, which, by the way, in the traditional tarot deck, these two cards can really strongly resonate with divine masculine energy in the twin flame dynamic. So, of course, that may not be the case for everyone. This also could be a very powerful soulmate connection, romantically speaking. So always take these messages how and if they do connect with you. So I want to start here and read more deeply into this masculine energy coming through the reading. But first, if you would like me to channel specifically for you and your situation, be sure to like the video and also double check that you are subscribed to the channel. By liking and subscribing, these are forms of energy transfer, and this allows me to pick up more easily on your energy and channel more specifically for you and your situation. Right away, I have the goddess of the moon in the upright position. So, divine feminine, I feel that energetically you are being spiritually opened and activated in a really powerful way at this time. Now, of course, we do go through many levels and layers of spiritual activation throughout a lifetime, but I'm getting the word rapidly, like your spiritual activations internally tend to happen a lot more frequently and rapidly than most people. Now, I am getting as well that because of this, you may be someone who always needs
The Journey of the Mind into God by Saint Bonaventure. Read by Dan Attrell. Here begins the sight of the poor man in the desert. Chapter 1. On the steps of ascension into God, and on the sight of him through his vestiges in the universe. Blessed the man whose assistance is from thee. He has arranged ascensions in his own heart in the vale of tears, in the place which he placed them. Since beatitude is nothing other than the fruition of the Most High Good, and the Most High Good is above us, no one can become blessed unless he ascends above his very self, not by an ascent with the body, but with the heart. But we are not able to be raised above ourselves unless by means of a superior virtue raising us. For however much as interior steps are arranged, nothing is done unless the divine assistance accompanies. The divine assistance accompanies those who seek it from their hearts humbly and devoutly. And this is to long for it in this vale of tears, which is done through fervent praying. Let us pray, therefore, and say to the Lord our God, lead me forth, Lord, in thy way, and let me step in thy truth. Let my heart be glad that it fears thy name. In praying this prayer, one is illumined so as to become acquainted with the steps of divine ascension. Since the university of things is the stairway to ascend into God, and among things there are a certain vestige, a certain image, certain corporeal things, certain spiritual things, certain temporal things, certain eternal things, and for this reason, certain ones outside of us, certain inside of us. For this purpose that we arrive at considering the first principle, which is most spiritual and eternal and above us, it is proper that we enter into our mind, which is an eternal image of God, spiritual and within us. And this is to step in the truth of God. It is fitting that we transcend to the eternal, most spiritual, and above us by looking towards the first principle. And this is to be glad in the knowledge of God and the reverence of His majesty. This is therefore the way of 3 days in the solitude. This is the threefold illumination of one day, and the first is as vespers, the second as morning, and the third as midday. This relates to the threefold existence of things, that is, in matter, in understanding, and in the eternal art, according to what is said. Let it be, he has made, and it has been made. This also relates to the divine threefold substance in Christ, who is our stairway, that is, the corporeal, the spiritual, and the divine. According to this threefold progress, our mind has three principal powers of sight. One is towards exterior corporeals, according to that which is named the animal or the sensory. The other within the self and in the self, according to that which is called the spirit. The third above the self, according to that which is called the mind, from all of which it ought to arrange itself to climb thoroughly into God, to love him with a whole heart and with a whole soul, in which consists the perfect observance of the law, and, at the same time with this, Christian wisdom. Since whatever of the aforesaid manners is joined together, according to which one happens to consider God as the Alpha and the Omega, or inasmuch as one happens to see God in any one of the aforesaid manners, as through a mirror, and as in a mirror, or because one of these considerations has been mixed up with another conjoined with itself, and has to be considered in its purity. Hence it is that it is necessary that these three principal steps ascend toward a group of 6, so that, as God in 6 days perfected the entire world, and on the 7th rested, so the microcosm is itself led forth in 6 steps of illumination, proceeding upward in a most ordered manner toward the quiet of contemplation. In the figure of which one ascended in 6 steps towards the throne of Solomon, the seraphim, which Isaiah saw, had 6 wings. After 6 days the Lord called Moses from the midst of gloom, and Christ, after 6 days, as it is said in Matthew, led the disciples onto the mountain and was transfigured before them. Therefore, alongside the 6 steps of ascension into God, there are 6 steps of the soul's power through which we climb thoroughly from the depths towards the heights, from the exterior things towards things most interior, from temporal things towards the eternal, that is, the sense, the imagination, the reason, the intellect, the intelligence, and the apex of the mind, or the spark of synderesis. These steps we have planted in us by nature, deformed by fault, reformed by grace, are to be purged by justice, exercised by knowledge, and perfected by wisdom. According to the first institution of nature, there was created a man fit for the quiet of contemplation, and for that reason God placed him in the paradise of delights. But turning himself away from the true light toward the completely changeable good, he was himself stooped down through his own fault, and his whole race by original sin, which infects human nature in a twofold manner, that is, the mind by ignorance, the flesh by concupiscence. So that man, thoroughly blinded and stooped down, sits in the shadows and does not see the light of heaven unless grace succors him with justice against his concupiscence, and knowledge with wisdom against his ignorance. This is entirely done through Jesus Christ, who has been made for us by God our wisdom and justice and sanctification and redemption, who though he be the virtue and the wisdom of God, and though he be the incarnate Word full of grace and truth, he has made grace and truth. That is, he has infused the grace of charity, which, since it's from a pure heart and good conscience, and an unfeigned faith, it rectifies the whole soul according to its own threefold aforesaid power of sight. He has thoroughly taught the knowledge of the truth according to the threefold manner of theology, that is, the symbolic, the proper, and the mystical, so that through the symbol we rightly use the sensible, through the proper we rightly use the intelligible, through the mystical we be rapt to supermental excesses. Therefore, it is necessary that he who wills to ascend into God, as a nature having avoided the deforming fault, exercise his aforesaid natural powers in accordance with reforming grace, and this by praying, in accord with justifying purification, and this in comportment, in accord with illuminating knowledge, and this in meditation, in accord with perfecting wisdom, and this in contemplation. As no one comes to wisdom except through grace, justice, and knowledge, so one does not come to contemplation except through perspicacious meditation, holy comportment, and devout prayer. Therefore, as grace is the foundation of the rectitude of the will and of the perspicacious brightening of the reason, so at first we must pray, then live holily. Third, understand and by understanding in God. Since, therefore, first one is to ascend rather than to descend upon Jacob's stair, let us situate the first step of ascension at the bottom by considering this whole world sensible to us as a mirror through which we pass over to God, the Most High Artisan, so that we may be true Hebrews, passing over from Egypt to the land promised again and again to our fathers, that we may also be Christians, passing over with Christ from this world to the Father, that we may also be lovers of wisdom, who call and say, Pass over me, all of you who desire me, and be filled full by my generations. For from the magnitude of beauty and creature, the Creator of these things could be familiarly seen. Moreover, the highest power and wisdom and benevolence of the Creator glitters in created things, according to that which the sense of the flesh announces in its threefold manner to the interior sense. For the sense of the flesh either devoutly serves the intellect in a rational manner as it investigates, or in a faithful manner as it believes, or in an intellectual manner as it contemplates. Contemplating it considers the actual existence of things, believing the habitual descent of things, and reasoning the potential excellence of things. In the first manner, the power of sight of the one contemplating, considering the things in themselves, sees in them the weight, number, and measure. The weight in regard to the position, where they are inclining, the number by which they are distinguished, and the measure by which they are limited. And for this reason, it sees in them measure, species, and order, and also the substance, virtue, and activity, from which it can rise together as from a vestige to understand the power, wisdom, and immense goodness of the Creator. In the second manner, The power of sight of the believer, considering this world, attends to the origin, descent, and the end. For by faith we believe that the ages have been made ready for the word of life. By faith we believe that the seasons of the three laws, that is, of nature, of scripture.
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth connection successful.
Quality, fixed. Day of the week, Saturday. Ruling planet, Uranus. Body part, ankles. Secret desire, to experience total freedom. Gemstone, amethyst. Color, light blue or silver. Best compatibility overall, Leo, Sagittarius. Best compatibility, romantic. Water bear, honesty, and Chapter 1, the 12 zodiac signs. Everyone has always been in search of a deeper meaning to the reality that he or she lives in, something that provides a reason for why we do what we do and who we are. Astrology is not a religion, but it can offer people a guideline for the interpretation of our present and our future. This information can show us the reasons behind disagreements or guide our steps forward in making a life-changing decision. Astrology indicates that nothing in life is chance. Everything happening at a time and place has a particular reason. Babylonia is thought to be the birthplace of astrology. They used astrological charts to predict events. Then they introduced their form of astrology to the Greeks in the early 4th century BC with such followers as Aristotle and Plato. It became regarded as a science and used by the Romans. In fact, the Romans established the zodiac signs that we use today. The word zodiac came from the Greek term which means circle of animals. The 12 lunar cycles and 12 constellations were linked to the seasons, and then they were assigned as identifiers: lion, scorpion, bull, etc. Those 12 signs were then divided into 4 groups or houses. Those houses are aligned with the elements of air, water, fire, and earth. These elements help to further our understanding of the positive and negative traits of our sign. This is based on Earth's daily rotation. At that time, only 5 planets were known, but it was believed that each of those planets represented a particular trait and area of life and possessed distinctive powers. Water signs: emotional and supersensitive, highly intuitive and mysterious. These signs are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Fire signs: unpredictable, passionate, energetic, can get angry quickly, but luckily can forgive quickly. Smart, creative, and idealistic. Come with loads of energy. They are strong and inspire others. These signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Earth signs: realistic and conservative, but underneath emotional. Connected to reality, practical, stable, and very loyal. These signs are Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Air signs: thinkers, smart, communicative, analytical, and rational, like giving people advice, can sometimes be very superficial. These signs are Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. There are 12 zodiac signs, and each sign are represented by its own glyph, constellation, planet, gemstone, color, the day of the week, and more. Each sign has its own set of traits, such as weaknesses, strengths, and temperament. For centuries, people have been using this information to plot future choices, pick lovers, and see what tomorrow will bring. Aries, March 20th through April 19th. Symbol, the ram. Quality, cardinal. Day of the week, Tuesday. Ruling planet, Mars. Body part, head and face. Secret desire, to be number one. Gemstone, diamond. Color, red. Best compatibility overall, Libra and Leo. Best compatibility, romantic, Aquarius, Gemini, Leo, Sagittarius. What they like, competitive games, new clothes, road trips, debating, expressing themselves with great verbal displays and thorough physical feats. What they dislike, losing, sharing their toys, spaces, the word no. Element, fire, one of the three fire signs. Since it is the first fire sign, many Aries people are trailblazers and trendsetters, known as the spark, since the cardinal quality is starting new things and a fire sign that spreads energy quite fast. Avoidant personality and always off to new things. Ruling planet, Mars, a warrior planet with a masculine force representing aggression, instincts, and power, can be a source of life force energy. The negative expression can show up as tactless, argumentative, insensitive, aggressive, or confrontational. By being governed by Mars, Aries can be prone to anger, but are also daring, highly energetic, impulsive, adventurous, and courageous. Since prone to anger, Aries can have a quick temper that is quick to explode. Symbol, the ram is based on the flying ram that provided the golden fleece in the mythological story of Jason and the Argonauts. In Greek mythology, Aries was associated with the Amon-Ra, who was depicted as a man with a ram's head. The word Aries is also the Latin for ram. The glyph is to represent the curving horns of the ram, which shows the determination and unceasing energy of the sign. Personality and outlook. Aries have lots of energy and confidence. With their can-do attitude, they like new experiences and love to be number one. They can seem selfish or overly focused on themselves, and family and friends may have to remind them to share if their sense of entitlement gets out of control. They may seem abrasive, but will never back down from a challenge. Typically, Aries excel at anything involving competition and feels more alive when leading others and being in control. They can be impatient with those that are in a leadership position whom they feel are not their equal because they do not like being told what to do by people who are less talented. Since Aries has a lot of energy, they are great workers. Their motto can be live hard, love hard, work hard. But they can develop tunnel vision about a project, which can sometimes make them seem self-centered. If an Aries doesn't get the pat on the back for their accomplishments, it can cause them to become rude and sarcastic. They dislike displays of inactivity. The presence of Aries typically marks the beginning of something stormy and high energy. Love, relationship. Aries need to take their initiative when it comes to romance. During the early stage of romance, they will show their feelings before thinking things through completely. They may show their partner lots of attention and affection, even if what they receive is neutral, negative. Aries can be passionate and energetic and enjoys adventures. They may not have sufficient patience to focus on a partner as they have the need for excitement every day. Money, job. A natural-born leader, Aries likes issuing orders than receiving them. Their energy and quick mind usually mean that they walk one step ahead of everyone around them. When facing a challenge, they can quickly measure the situation and prepare a solution. They are not intimidated by competition. In fact, it encourages them to perform even better. Aries likes to live in the present, So they tend not to focus on the future, which means they can sometimes make mistakes with regards to money decisions. But they will balance their earnings with what they have spent, as they always seem to find a way to earn money. Family, friends. Aries are typically tolerant and respectful to those who don't agree with their own. They will feel the most satisfied with a wide range of friends and different views. Honesty and directness are the best way to deal with an Aries. Possible descriptors: pioneering, confident, dynamic, selfish, foolhardy, enthusiastic, confident, quick-witted, impatient, honest, adventurous, energetic, daredevil, courageous, quick-tempered, impulsive, determined, passionate, optimistic, moody, impatient, aggressive. Famous Aries: Lady Gaga, Celine Dion, Aretha Franklin, Keira Knightley, Victoria Beckham. Comes to money, they are disciplined enough to stick to a budget. Although they are not afraid of hard work to earn it, they are also not inclined to spend a lot of money. Family, friends. Scorpios lookers. The money is since they are incredibly playful, humorous, open, passionate, and lacking in emotion. There's lots of activity running through their minds. May seem to be selfish or stingy and secretive with information, since they guard their hearts closely, a gale of humanitarian causes. This makes them visionaries, causing them and others to get involved with a new case, join a new social group, or have a mission in life. People born under a water sign see the world as a place full of possibilities. Quality: fixed sign. Your favorable colors are brown, khaki, black, and purple. Colors to avoid are yellow and red. Famous Capricorn celebrities are Michelle Obama, Kate Middleton, Liam Hemsworth, Dolly Parton, Diane Sawyer, Kit Harington, and Denzel Washington. Symbolism and myths associated with Capricorn. The mythology associated with a sea goat representing Capricorn can be traced back to the Bronze Age. For the Babylonians, Ea was a protective god of creation, water, and knowledge. The sea goat also has other associations in Greek mythology. It is linked to Amalthea, the goat that nursed Zeus when he escaped his father's wrath as a baby. Another tale depicts how the broken horn of Amalthea became cornucopia. The cornucopia was a horn filled with the earthly bounties. This zodiac sign is also linked to Precus, who was the father of sea goats. Precus tried to protect the sea goats by turning back time when they wandered onto dry land and lost their ability to think and speak, but he had to give his children up to the wild. Precus then made the constellation of Capricorn and gained an immortal home in heaven. Precus's tale is considered the reason why the melancholic and sad stereotype is associated with most Capricorns. The season. The season of Capricorn begins on December 21st in the Western Zodiac. This is when the winter solstice starts in the Northern Hemisphere. The light and heat from the sun are at their lowest during this time of the year. The length of the night is somewhat greater than that of the day. From the winter solstice, the days start a slow ascent towards the spring equinox as they lengthen. The spring equinox will represent the last and fourth season of the year. The activities of a winter mirror the affinity of a Capricorn for preparedness and resourcefulness. Conservation and hibernation take place for most creatures in this season. The mode. Capricorn is one of the cardinal signs in the zodiac. It holds the elemental energy of leadership and initiation. The beginning of winter marks the Capricorn season when energy and light levels are at their highest. The root of the strong cardinal authority of a Capricorn and their nature is the season's definitive quality. The element. The element associated with Capricorn is Earth. It is the most solid and heavy element. Ancient astrologers considered the Earth to be the densest form of all matter. This element represents everything that nature is built of and upon. Without it, there is nothing that could take material form. The affinity of a Capricorn to lead, administrate, and wield material power are all linked to the earth element and its tangibility. Planetary rulership. Domicile of Saturn. According to classical astrology, Capricorn and Aquarius were both ruled by the planet Saturn. They considered Capricorn the nocturnal resident of this planet. This disciplined and ambitious earth sign allows the expression and enactment of Saturn's most authoritative and stern functions. Being organizational, productive, and practical are all abilities thus granted to a Capricorn. If you are born with Saturn in Capricorn, these abilities will usually come naturally to you. Such folks tend to have an innate sense of responsibility and duty. They use it to bring order and structure to their world. Capricorns are born with a deep sense of awareness of any adversity around them. They also accept that they were built to weather the hard times they would encounter. The detriment of the moon. This zodiac is in polarity with Cancer, which is a cardinal water sign. Since the moon rules Cancer, people of this sign are emotionally nurturing, protective, and sensitive. They are comfortable being vulnerable and innately intuitive. This contrasts with Capricorn folks, who are a lot more serious. Capricorns have a stronger work ethic and want to achieve more, so others acknowledge them. The moon in Saturn compensates for this detriment. Someone born in this placement tends to have a protective barrier around them and their emotions. It takes a Capricorn a long time to open up to someone completely and to show vulnerability. There can be a Saturnian effect due to this placement and cause these natives to have bouts of depression or sadness. If they are wounded emotionally, they are prone to become cynical. Such experiences make it difficult for a Capricorn to trust people again. Folks with the moon in Capricorn take a long time to admit a need for emotional support. They always pride themselves on their self-reliance and independence instead. Exaltation of Mars. Mars is a planet of war, drive, and combat. It has a specially exalted place in the sign of Capricorn. Mars' power and propulsion will blend uniquely with a single-minded and steady work ethic of a Capricorn. This placement allows the creation of people good at martial arts and other sports. They also have strategic and tactical minds. Such people work towards their goals, helped by their strengths and endurance in an orderly manner. This placement helps to subdue the rash qualities of Mars and allows its energy to be stabilized so its natives can persevere and endure well. Fall of Jupiter. According to classical astrologers, Jupiter was exalted in Cancer, and there he expressed his knowledge, benevolence, and expansion in an auspicious way. But some say that Jupiter had his fall in Capricorn, which is the opposite sign. A detriment is more of an adaptive challenge compared to this, but it still causes discomfort to the planetary force. Capricorn is an earth sign that is cool and dry. The archetype is reserved and cautious, while Jupiter promotes optimism and faith. This is why the energy of Jupiter cannot flow freely. Instead, natives develop cautious optimism where they find it difficult to believe that the universe is working in their favor or they have good fortune. But Jupiter's enthusiastic qualities may still shine through and allow these natives to survive the adversities that they face in real life. A house of rulership. The 10th house. The 12th letter alphabet is a modern astrology system. Here, every zodiac sign rules a certain house amongst the 12 in the birth chart. Psychological astrologers created this innovation to help match the related house topics to the sign affinities. The 10th house of career and public status was assigned to the Capricorn zodiac. This happened due to the ambitious and earthy pursuits of a Capricorn that align with the 10th house's concerns. Time and patience tend to rule Capricorn, which is why Saturn's analytical subsignature is invited to this house. 12th house. According to traditional astrology, Saturn is the planetary ruler of Capricorn. Some say that the 12th house is where Saturn finds its joy. The 12th house is one of confinement, isolation, and solitude in the birth chart. Classical astrologers also call this house the house of a bad spirit. This meant that the 12th house was connected to themes of anxiety and shadows, which can cause mental anguish. It is this relation to Saturn which is responsible for the biggest trials and tests that a person faces. It manifests as a feeling of being burdened with many concerns and responsibilities. This is why Saturn is better able to express itself in the 12th house. But this placement can be considered good despite its difficulties, because it is also linked to the theme of persevering until the defeat of all hurdles. Let's look at the characteristics of a Capricorn. The personality. The personality traits of people in this zodiac are derived from yin qualities that are receptive and feminine. This is why Capricorns are engaged with their inner awareness and oriented towards contemplation. Regardless of gender, a Capricorn will be disciplined, determined, and masterful. This is at the core of a Capricorn man or woman's personality. It displays their resourcefulness and resilience in the face of the cold season that they are born in. Capricorn is a cardinal zodiac sign, and thus has the qualities of a builder, a climber, and achiever. They can set lofty goals and achieve them by taking one step at a time. People born with this sign are reliable, consistent, and determined. You can also see them often deliver a lot more than they promised. Those with the sign of the sea goat take their reputation and honor a lot more seriously than many others. Chapter 2. Capricorn Cusp Profiles. While learning about a Capricorn's characteristics, you also need to consider those who come into the cusp category. A cusp is when a person's birthday falls right between two zodiac dates. You are considered as on a cusp if you are born within the 3 days before or after the transition from one zodiac to the other. For Capricorns, there are two such cusp profiles. One is the Capricorn Aquarius cusp, while the other is the Capricorn and Sagittarius cusp. The first is at the end of the Capricorn period, while the other is at the beginning of the Capricorn period. Such people tend to have characteristics from both of the houses they fall on the cusp of. This is why inner conflict is a real issue in their personalities. Such people have difficulty making decisions because their different traits are always clashing with each other. As you listen more about the two Capricorn cusp profiles, you will understand this better. The Capricorn Aquarius cusp. If you were born between January 17th and January 23rd, then you were born on the Capricorn Aquarius cusp. A person born in the Capricorn Aquarius cusp tends to possess polarized and contrasting energies, making them very unique individuals. You tend to be a hard-working idealist, and in the tarot world, you are considered an amalgamation of the cusp of mystery and imagination. If you look at the two signs separately, they differ greatly from each other. Yet, this combination allows these individuals to look at the world with an unconventional perspective in unparalleled ways. The ruling planet of Capricorn is Saturn, also known as a planet of lessons and limitations. This encourages Capricorns to have a very practical outlook on life and focus on their real-world responsibilities. But the Aquarius' sign's ruling planet is Uranus, which pushes people to develop radical and unconventional thoughts and gives them the ability to open the minds of people around them. When these two stark personalities come together, it can create a powerfully brilliant, creative, and ambitious individual. Since the Capricorn Aquarius cusp is a contrast of personalities and perspectives, which are the elements capable of influence, you can also create a complex contradiction as well. The Capricorn side, or the Earth side, is extremely grounded and determined, while the Aquarius side, the air side, has a strong affection for spontaneity and variety. This can be a challenge, considering that you have to feed both these halves of your personality. But if you can channel these energies in a healthy and productive fashion, you can grow and succeed no matter what life may throw your way. A person born on the cusp of imagination and mystery tends to have a lot of internal excitement. You may find your mind constantly churning out interesting thoughts.
That is, the willingness to surrender to God at great depth and to let go of resistances by invoking the power of the spiritual will, calibrates at 850, subsequent to asking for divine assistance. One can request help from the Holy Spirit, along with admission of the truth that I myself, the ego, am unable to accomplish this step alone. Operationally, this is actually a request to comprehend and contextualize the situation differently and thus dissolve apparent paradoxes. The personal will operates only at the level of a person's calibrated level of consciousness at a given time in its evolution, and is therefore frequently too weak to effect a desired change. Past efforts to change via the ego's mechanisms may result in doubt, a lack of self-confidence, and a refusal to face the issues out of defeatism. This is commonly expressed by the statement, "I tried," which is actually a fact. It is the small self that tried, which more often is a wish than a decisive action. Good intentions flounder on the rocks of personal willpower, which is frequently used as a moral club that evokes further guilt and self-blame. True, deep surrender to God cannot actually take place without surrendering the illusion of personal willpower and replacing it with a declarative decision. In everyday life, success is the consequence of dedication, persistence, and perseverance. This may seem to represent a personal sacrifice of short-term pleasures for long-term goals. In inner spiritual work, these same attributes may appear, not as a consequence of personal volition, but as gifts from the self, as the answer from the presence of God within. A great resistance of the ego is the wish to control and derive pleasure from the ego's payoffs. Therefore, the ego creates resistances in the form of fears, including expectations of discomfort, loss from change, or fear of failure. These, however, represent spiritual pride, which also needs to be surrendered. It is an egoistic vanity to presume that divinity is either pleased, not pleased, or disappointed with human frailties and proclivities.